Welcome everyone to another episode of InspireSpark podcast, where we dive deep into the journeys and insights of inspirational individuals. I'm your host, Sirat, and today I'm pleased to have Carelle, the founder of Trainstation, with us. Hi, Carelle. Thank you for joining us.
It is my pleasure, Shiren. Thank you so much for having me here. Excited for what we're going to talk about today.
Exactly. So for a start, I would love to learn more about your journey. Could you share with us your background and what inspired you to set up Trainstation?
Well, actually, I got inspired because, I come from theater. I come from performing. I was performing ever since I was 9 years old. And then being very passionate about theater. Then after that, after college, I was like, what do you do? What do you do with your passion in theater? And then wanting to have income, wanting to have money, right? But then I got into sales. I got into my father's business wherein I was involved in sales. But then how do you transition from theater to selling? Right? What are the skill sets that I needed? So I devoured books. I read so many books. Now, I really loved self-help books ever since I was young because coming from a family that was not rich, we come from a family wherein there were a lot of problems. There was a lot of difficulty, financial difficulty, abuse, verbal, physical abuse, even. So I didn't come from a very good set of happy, loving family. So a lot of that, made me into a very depressive individual. So put a theater actress who was very depressive, who had so many issues, and then finding her way into the world. So when I got into selling, because I was into self-help books, I got also into sales books. And what I realized was there was this thing I learned in self-help that is so aligned to the things that I was reading about sales. There was a science to how I could help myself better during those times that things were very chaotic in my life, and also tools I can use to connect with people. So into research of this, I got involved into discovering, hey, what is this science? What is this science? And there were many branches of psychology, of course. I landed on this thing called neurolinguistic programming. Because of that, I studied in the United States. I got certified. I became a life coach. I'm just compressing my history here. Myself, I coached my family. I was able to turn things around with my family, people who would approach me and I would be coaching them on one-on-one sessions, and their lives would be helped. And I started utilizing that onto a bigger stage, starting now people how to train and teach people how to sell better, at the same time motivating them, helping them have better results in their life. And that's when I started seeing, hey, this is getting bigger. I am affecting change on bigger audiences. And from then, there were people who would invite me. So they would invite me to talk, they'd invite me to be a speaker. And fast forward to probably how many years, 10 years down the line, I had a meeting with a client who said, do you have a company? And at that time, I didn't. I was a freelance coach, trainer, right? An independent speaker. And I said, no, let me incorporate. So I did. I incorporated a company at that time. And immediately in our first 3 months, I have not even put in capitalization. You know how you invest in a company? I started putting capitalization. There were already 3 major clients in 3 months that, gave us multi-million contract. So because of that, I was like, but I'm alone. I have no trainers. And a lot of these clients wanted multiple training programs in a day, like cascades, rollouts. Carelle, can we do 5 simultaneous trainings all over the Philippines? And because my background is in theater, I know a lot of theater actors. And when it comes to theater actors, they know the roles of being an understudy. There is a lead actor, a lead player, and the understudy would know the roles, every line. I have brilliant actors with me, and at that time, I was telling them, understudy me. Watch what I'm doing, and I will teach you the science behind it. So I started teaching them NLP.
Mm.
I started watching how I was doing it, copying the scripts verbatim, even down to the jokes. Even yes, everything was like replicated. And yeah, in the first 3 months, we were doing nationwide, Asia-wide trainings with these fantastic trainers. Therefore, Trainstation came into place because of all of these people whom we equipped on the science, but at the same time are entertainers. And yeah, actually, the name Train Station happened when I was in Singapore.
Oh.
Yeah, I was in the train.
Oh.
And I was like, how fantastic. I come from a third world country. I come from a developing nation wherein there are not enough lines for trains. I think at that point we just had two main train stations. So I was like, isn't it fantastic when you can go to a certain place and it takes you from point A to point B and it gets you there faster. And I was like, training, trains.
Nice. Nice, yeah. And I am aware you have this branding and entertainment, right? Entertainment. That's so interesting. And I really like it because it resonates with my approach as well. Because it's so important to make training entertaining and as well as educational, right? So I really love the name as well.
Right, right. Well, I came up with that because Time Magazine 20 years ago, I think, or 25 years ago, came up with edutainment. And I was like, oh, that is so brilliant. Education and entertainment. And I was like, oh, I'm training and an entertainer. So let it be entertainment. So yeah,
Exactly.
and it has to stick. The
Exactly.
right? And knowledge is not about, it's not enough. Knowledge is not enough. Knowing is not enough. People have to want it, have to have that emotional tie to
Exactly.
the learn.
Yeah, correct. So I truly resonate with it because I feel that creating immersive experiences for our participants is really important. Just like creating delightful experiences when we talk about employee engagement. Yeah.
And
So
that's why I like you immediately when we were talking. And you were saying that it's really about the experience. Yes, we create the stage for experiences so that people understand and know, hey, I know I have that. I actually have that value. Or I know what it's like to be brave. I just haven't tapped it in so long. But in the
yes.
beginning, they were able to do that. And, again, coming from theater, that's something that you play a part wherein you're a murderer. It doesn't mean that you have to have murdered somebody, but to be able to tap into a resource of anger. Perhaps I've been angry before, or fear, I've been afraid before. So those are the tools that you tap into and make it replicable so that it is applied at work. So I'm not saying anger and fear for work, but now what about courage? What about love, kindness, compassion? Are those things that we can tap into?
Exactly. Yeah, it's about creating the memorable experience and reaching the learning experience. Now let's dive deeper into the concepts that you mentioned just now that integrate into your programs, Neuro-Linguistic Programming, NLP for short, that you have mentioned, as well as neuroscience, right? Let's start off with NLP. Could you explain to us what is NLP and how does it relate to leadership and personal development?
Yes, thank you for that. I've been saying NLP earlier on, and I was like, yes, I miss talking about that.
Yeah.
NLP is really neuro, the brain, linguistic, it's our language, and programming is what are your default systems? Do you understand that even? It was an aha moment in studying NLP that I realized, oh, I have many patterns. And we all have that default belief systems. Our brains, in the study as well of neuroscience, our brains have heuristics, ways of making decisions. So if I understand my program, how can I affect that? Can I have a better label in my head? Can I have a better language or a better narrative? So simplifying it, for example, with linguistics, instead of saying, I'm stressed. For leaders, they're always stressed, right? But can I change that term into stretched,
Mm.
right? So a simple shift of your language makes stress a stretch. Am
Mm.
I am I learning from this? Am I able to reach further after this? So changing the language of a leader is very important, because how is this leader trained? How is this leader programmed? They also learn from other leaders, from
Mm.
people in their lives. And sometimes they stick to a certain belief system or behavior because they think this works. They
Yes.
know it works based on their experience. But then again, it takes that step back for a leader to say, hey, wait, is this a program? Wait, is this the entire truth?
Yes.
Do I
Mm.
have a bias? Am I
Mm.
just jumping into conclusions out of default? Is
Mm.
better way. So that's what NLP targets. So whether I've utilized NLP for people, as I've said a while ago, I helped coach many people who were with troublesome backgrounds, who were victims, survivors of
Mm.
abuse, who
Mm.
were drug dependents. So it was able to help people like that. I've dealt with people in war. I've dealt with people
Mm.
in a calamity. So
Mm.
thousands people. If we're able to help that, how
Mm.
can we help leaders who are not motivated? Or
Yes.
how do I help leaders motivate the people that they're
Mm.
leading?
Yes.
What about helping a leader who is overwhelmed with
Mm-hmm.
going through? And, a classic program of a CEO, a C-suite, a leader is I cannot afford to be tired,
Of course, yeah, it's the energy level.
to be exhausted. And because who's the one who's supposed to be blamed in all of this is, the buck ends with me. So it's really helping people with tools. NLP is a methodology. It has an approach, tools and techniques, whether it is for success, whether it's for sales, whether it's for customer service, empowerment, motivation. So there are always tools left behind by people who are able to do it well.
Mm.
Are also these techniques. But then in the end, no matter what tools you have, it's really a shift of state.
Exactly.
NLP is focusing on that, the state of your brain.
Exactly.
Because if it is overwhelmed, no matter how many tools you've read, how many books you have, if you are not in the right state, you're not able to apply them. So
Exactly.
from NLP, I delved into applied neurosciences because I wanted to be more scientific about things.
Mm.
And
Mm.
it's an approach, as I've said, it's a methodology. It's been there for around 50 years. And it's like, and I love, of course, the founders of NLP, Dr. John Grinder. I've been trained and been mentored by him. And as much as I love NLP, the world needs more science, more data, more information. They want
Mm.
measures, metrics. So
Mm.
into applied neuroscience is to study how the brain works. And
Exactly.
I was able to see how it is validated, like the studies on mirroring that NLP has been talking about for 50 years.
Exactly. Mhm.
And in neuroscience, there are studies on mirror neurons. There are studies on affect labeling in applied neurosciences and how the brain is able to change its release of chemicals just by changing labels that you have. So
Exactly.
there, with applied neuroscience is really about the study, the data, the research, the fMRI machines put on the brains of people for them to track what's happening with the amygdala, what is the
Mm.
release of cortisol, which parts of the brain are activated.
Yeah.
So studying the locations of the brain, how it gets activated, and then putting it together with what I know, I'm seeing the connection. Like, oh wow, change the label.
Exactly.
You know how the brain is fired up. And I love watching that. I love seeing that the brain is firing up just like that. And it's
Exactly. I truly resonate with what you have said because I also train on growth mindset, mental resilience, right? It's all about your mindset because your mindset will determine the behaviors and the results that you get. So it's all starting from your mindset. Yeah,
Absolutely.
great, lovely.
That's what I
So,
love. Because when we talk about growth mindset, what
yes.
the neuroscientists did, they were studying brains of rats and dogs and people to try to what happens when, for brain plasticity,
Correct.
how the brain can grow. So, it's like amazing for us to realize the brain actually grows its connections. So,
Yes. Yeah. Thank you. You mentioned some of the success stories just now, right? Are there any specific ones that's really very memorable for you?
when it comes to corporate and leadership, there are so many. Well, for the fact that a lot of these multinational companies that we have handled, have been our partners for more than a decade already. I think that's a success that they keep going to us and coming back for more. Another thing is that we've seen in these corporate the organizations that I've handled when it comes to corporates, we've seen numbers rise. Like there is an organization, I cannot disclose, of course, the partners, but this international company, multinational company that deals with sales of FMCG. So they cater to beauty products, and we had to train all of their frontliners on how to sell their beauty products. Before our training, they were only selling something like 15,000 units a day. After the training program, which lasted for an entire week, they were 36,000 units per day.
Double, more than double.
Right? We also have a marketing campaign for a brand wherein we were talking to their customers. We were training doctors, we were training midwives all over the country. And when we were doing the training for them, it was to help them communicate. Now, doctors and midwives for communication, absolutely. Why? Because the doctors told me after, Carelle, we're trained to operate. We're trained to cure, but we don't know how to talk.
Exactly. It's such an interesting program.
Yeah, so we created even a personality development program for doctors, and they're like, we want that, we needed that. And because of that partnership with the brand, we were the only marketing campaign of that brand that is direct to their distributors or to their doctors or to their clients, and we were able to get 40% market share. So, there are many successes when it comes to corporate, but I think the change work in communities that we've done, just like during the pandemic, there were 800,000 public school teachers in a developing country. And when we talk about developing country, the internet is not so good.
Yes.
Okay. The classrooms are not air conditioned. It's not so good. It's not perfect. It's not a very conducive environment for a lot of the teachers. And teachers would tell us, even face to face, we have problems motivating and teaching students. And then now the pandemic happened, we had to do things online. And we were able to train 100,000 public school teachers. Sometimes the trainings happen, we do it online, right? And the teachers were studying under a tree.
Oh.
Yeah, because they have no internet connection in their house. The connection is weak. So they have to go out on the road to find where is a better signal so I could learn in this session. And, for me, at a time when they were afraid, what we were able to help them with is to be brave and to connect. Times are tough, but can we keep on connecting with our students however way possible, even if it's through social media, Facebook Messenger, if we can do that to keep on teaching. And it was tough. We had to create programs through Facebook Messenger. We had a partner called AHA Learning. They created those study guides for teachers, the curriculum of the schools were translated into Facebook Messenger stuff.
Wow.
So so that the teachers can teach. It was tough. And it
Yeah.
was scary. But yeah, for me that's a great thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. Many other things like a calamity wherein people didn't feel safe, a
Mm.
war when war happened in the southern part of the Philippines, and the youth was displaced. Their houses were in rubble because they were bombed. And it's like that heartbreaking moment that you look around your city and it's into pieces. So how do you rise again? So we started creating resilience programs for the
Mm.
people in Marawi. Also the same resilience programs for the people in Tacloban when the typhoon
Mm.
Haiyan
Yeah.
hit us.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they were living in tents. They were, there was no food. Yeah, how do you survive that? But to go into finding that space for safety for them, that courage to live again, that
Mm.
something that we were able to integrate. And we left knowing that people were a lot stronger from compared to how they were when we
Very
got
nice. Very
saw
nice.
the first time.
Excellent. Yeah. Very inspiring success stories. Thank you for sharing, Carol. Yeah. So for our listeners, right, who are maybe eager to begin their journey towards improved leadership and personal growth, what advice would you give them?
you know a lot of times, it's really in the wanting, because no matter how many tools are out there, there are so many,
Mm.
but in the end, if the person is not making that decision, sometimes I don't even feel like it, but you make a decision.
Mm.
And from that decision, even if I say I cannot forgive you, you hate somebody, I cannot forgive you, I don't feel like it. But if you'd say I will choose to forgive, I
Mm.
choose to be a better leader, I will choose to be empowered, then that's the beginning of the entire journey to change the narrative that is in your head. That is, whatever
Yeah.
life dealt me, that's it. Whatever I'm given, that's it. What is the choice?
Exactly. It's always a choice, right? You have a choice to be negative or to be positive.
Yeah, and to verbalize it, because sometimes we're not aware. We're not aware that we are negative. We're not aware that we're victims.
Mm-hmm.
We're not aware that we're the perpetrator
Yep.
and the antagonist. So it's just that awareness and saying, what is my program? Do I choose to be different? Before any change happens, it's that awareness that we need, whether we talk about growth mindset or emotional intelligence, or
That's right.
when I say how does the brain work, what's the language, what's a program, it's an awareness of that.
Yeah, that's why I see a lot of synergies in our programs, right? And I'm excited about our collaboration for this upcoming program, the Neuroscience of Leadership Excellence, which we target to happen next year. Could you offer a preview of what participants can expect in terms of learning and experiencing this program, and what sets this program apart from the others that our audience will want to visit?
A while ago, I mentioned that a lot of leaders, especially the C-suites, the execoms, there's that guilt of taking a break or even of being tired. There is a study in Harvard on burnout, and a lot of leaders experience that. So this leadership, let's call it a retreat, if I may, is a chance and an opportunity for leaders to be filled, refueled, recharged, because you need that. A better leader, a recharged leader, can navigate an entire organization better. A
Mm.
leader that is refueled can fuel others. So the combination of Shiren and myself being able to help equip leaders through experiences to be able to refuel and recharge them in this retreat would be an exciting treat. It's going to be an exciting adventure. We would want to take you to a beautiful place, a beautiful paradise, a place where just by landing and going there, you're already more relaxed.
Exactly.
right? Where
Yes.
it's visual. You can see it everywhere. There's already a replenishment of your soul because you're in a different environment. And, some people would say, can we do it online? Okay. Still doesn't take you away from the environment. We want to be able to nurture that person, that leader, that individual. And then there will be a lot of learnings, of course, brain science, brain based methodologies that could help leaders. And in terms of rewiring, it's quicker because you understand more, and there are exercises that we will take the leaders through. So whether more courage, sure. Whether it is better communication, sure. Whether it is peace of mind, calm, handling overwhelming situations, there will be actual experiences and exercises so that we're not just telling you what to do and then you go back to your country, to your city, bringing the tools and hope to apply them. No, we practice it right there.
Exactly.
We create the connections of pleasure.
Yes,
For doing
exactly.
so
Yeah.
that it's installed, you're like, okay, I'm good to go. I'll go back and I will keep on practicing what I've learned.
Thank you. Yes, thank you for sharing. Really, I'm very excited about collaboration. It's about rewiring and supercharging the brain for positivity so that our participants can really thrive in challenges.
Yes, absolutely. I like that word, thrive, because
Exactly.
it's about surviving. It's not like sometimes I see leaders are like, another day. Why are you just surviving another day? Can we
It's
thrive?
thriving. Exactly. Exactly. It's not just survive, it's to thrive. Yes. Yes. So, Carol, thanks for sharing. As we wrap up the session, do you have any final piece of advice or key message that you'd like to share with our audience?
There are so many things, and yeah, when people ask for advice, Shiren, I'm a mouthful. Well, one is to ask people also to, if they would want to, they would love to, they can follow us also on social media. There are things there on Trainstation International, Trainstation Philippines, or look for me, Carelle Herrera. You can look for me also on TikTok. There might be a couple of videos there that might pique your interest. Although, let me just share, the most important thing that I have been imparting with people, whether leaders, individuals, women who want to be more empowered, even teenagers, two simple words. It's show up.
Mm.
Show up. Today you wake up and you're at your best. Oh, show up well, show up strong. There are days wherein you don't feel like it. You don't feel like working out. You don't feel like going on your diet. Just show up. Sorry. Show up for
Oh,
your. You don't feel like reading a book. Show up for 2 minutes just to read something.
yeah. Mm.
And in each day that people live, show up to create better impact.
Mm.
So how can I make better impact in my day, in
Yes.
the minute that I'm talking to a coworker? Is it going to be just, hey, hi, how are you today? Or would I make that choice to show up better for somebody? And I guess if I, you know, pass on and, you know,
Mm.
go away after living this life, I have showed up. I have that impact that created a ripple effect of good and kindness. And in a world
Exactly.
that is filled with pain and problems,
Mm.
what do I bring when I show up?
Mm, I love that. Yeah, it's about the impact that you create, right, on others, making a difference. I love that. Yeah.
Yeah, even with
Yeah.
kindness, compassion, courage. I mean, there are many
Yeah.
adjectives out there,
Mm.
but those adjectives, those verbs, even run, jump, eat, laugh, will not happen if you don't show up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it all starts from the mind. Whether it's a positive day or negative day, it's how you want the day to be like.
Yes. And I think the narrative of the mind, as you've said, it's mindset.
Mm.
What's that narrative?
Yeah.
Again, if I don't feel like it, Carelle, show up,
Yeah.
right?
Mm.
I'm lazy. Show up.
Yeah, it's like our brain, right? Our mind can be our greatest friend or our worst enemy. So let's harness the power right to our favor.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you so much, Carol. Love your insights and your stories, experiences with us as well. So, and to our listeners, thank you for joining another episode of InspireSpark. So, thank you, Carol, once again, and thank you to our listeners. So, stay tuned for more inspiring conversations.
Thank you, Sharon.
Thank you, Carol. Bye bye.